Your legs weaken first. Eat these 6 foods to strengthen them fast. I want to share something with you that I consider one of the most important and most underappreciated facts in all of geriatric medicine, and it is this. The strength of your legs is one of the single most powerful predictors of how long you will live and how well you will live in the decades ahead. Not your cholesterol, not your blood pressure, though both of those matter enormously. Your leg strength, specifically the strength of your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your glutes, and your calf muscles. Research published in some of the most respected medical journals in the world has consistently shown that grip strength and lower body strength in adults over 50 are among the strongest independent predictors of all-cause mortality, of dying from any cause, that we have in medicine. A landmark study following thousands of older adults found that those with the weakest leg strength had mortality rates 2 to 3 times higher than those with the strongest legs, even after controlling for age, body weight, and chronic disease burden. 2 to 3 times higher. That is an extraordinary number. And yet, leg strength, and specifically the nutritional foundation that supports it, is almost never discussed in the routine medical appointments of older Americans. My name is Dr. Sienna Black. I am an internal medicine physician with over 15 years of clinical experience working with older adults. And today I am going to tell you about the 6 foods that research suggests are the most powerful nutritional support for leg strength after 60. Foods that provide the specific proteins, vitamins, minerals, and anti-inflammatory compounds that aging leg muscles need to maintain and even rebuild their strength. Foods that are accessible, affordable, and that you can start incorporating into your diet today. Please stay with me for this entire video, because the investment of the next few minutes could meaningfully change the strength and therefore the independence, the mobility, and ultimately the longevity of your legs for decades to come. Before I tell you about the 6 foods, I need to make sure you understand what is happening to your leg muscles as you age, because the nutritional strategy I'm going to describe makes much more sense once you understand the physiological target. The gradual loss of muscle mass and strength that begins in your 30s and accelerates significantly after 50 is called sarcopenia. It is one of the most consequential and least discussed health processes in older adults. After 50, most people lose approximately 1 to 2% of their muscle mass per year. And the legs, specifically the large muscles of the thighs and calves, are where this loss is most prominent and most impactful. The consequences of sarcopenia in the legs are far-reaching. Weakening leg muscles reduce your ability to rise from a chair, to climb stairs, to walk briskly, to maintain balance, and to recover from a stumble before it becomes a fall. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in Americans over 65, and most falls happen because the leg muscles were not strong enough to prevent or recover from a loss of balance. Beyond falls, sarcopenic legs reduce the metabolic activity of the body, because muscle is the primary site of glucose uptake and the primary driver of resting metabolic rate. Weaker leg muscles mean worse blood sugar control and a slower metabolism that makes weight management progressively harder. And sarcopenia of the legs is independently associated with cardiovascular disease, insulin resistance, cognitive decline, and depression. Not as a cause of those conditions necessarily, but as a marker of the underlying biological aging processes that drive them. Here is what is critically important to understand about sarcopenia. It is not inevitable. It can be meaningfully slowed and in many cases partially reversed, even after 60, even after 70, through 2 specific interventions working together: resistance exercise that directly challenges the leg muscles, and the specific nutritional support that provides the raw materials those muscles need to maintain and rebuild themselves. Today, we are focused on that second intervention, the nutrition, and specifically the 6 foods that provide that support most powerfully. Food number 1 is eggs, and I want to make the case for eggs as a leg-strengthening food more strongly than you may have heard it made before. Because eggs are not just a convenient protein source. They are arguably the most complete and bioavailable protein food in the human diet. And the quality of the protein you eat for muscle maintenance is just as important as the quantity. Protein quality is measured by something called the leucine content and the overall amino acid profile. Leucine is the specific amino acid that most powerfully triggers muscle protein synthesis, the process by which your body builds and repairs muscle tissue. Without adequate leucine, the muscle building signal simply does not fire at full strength, regardless of how much total protein you eat. Eggs have an extraordinarily high leucine content and a complete amino acid profile that makes their protein almost perfectly suited to supporting muscle maintenance. Beyond their protein quality, eggs provide vitamin D, one of the most critical nutrients for muscle function that we will discuss in more detail shortly, and choline, a nutrient that supports the neuromuscular junctions where nerve signals meet muscle fibers, and that is critically important for the coordination and strength of muscle contractions. Research specifically on egg consumption and muscle outcomes in older adults has shown that people who consume eggs regularly maintain greater muscle mass and strength compared to those with low egg intake, even when total protein intake is matched. The practical recommendation is 2 to 3 whole eggs per day, not just egg whites. The yolk contains the majority of the vitamin D, the choline, and a significant portion of the leucine. Preparing them simply, scrambled, poached, or hard-boiled without excessive added salt or saturated fat preserves their nutritional integrity. Food number 2 is fatty fish, specifically salmon, sardines, mackerel, and trout. And the reason these fish are so specifically powerful for leg muscle health comes down to two nutrients working in tandem. The first is omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, which are some of the most extensively studied anti-inflammatory compounds in nutritional science. Chronic low-grade inflammation is now understood to be one of the primary drivers of sarcopenia. Inflammatory signaling molecules, particularly a cytokine called TNF-alpha and interleukin-6, interfere with the muscle protein synthesis pathway and accelerate the breakdown of existing muscle tissue. Omega-3 fatty acids suppress these inflammatory pathways directly, reducing the inflammatory burden on aging muscle tissue and creating a more anabolic, muscle-building, biochemical environment. Multiple randomized controlled trials have shown that omega-3 supplementation in older adults produces measurable improvements in muscle strength and functional performance, and that the effect is more pronounced in people with higher baseline levels of inflammation, which is the majority of adults over 60. The second critical nutrient in fatty fish is vitamin D, particularly in salmon and sardines, which are among the richest dietary sources of this nutrient. Vitamin D is not just a bone nutrient. Vitamin D receptors are found on muscle fiber membranes throughout the body, and vitamin D plays a direct role in regulating muscle protein synthesis, muscle fiber size, and the coordination of fast-twitch muscle fibers, the fibers responsible for the quick, powerful contractions needed to prevent a fall or catch yourself on a stumble. Vitamin D deficiency, which is extraordinarily common in adults over 60, affecting an estimated 40 to 60% of older Americans, is strongly associated with muscle weakness, reduced physical performance, and increased fall risk. Eating fatty fish 2 to 3 times per week provides both the omega-3 anti-inflammatory support and the vitamin D that your leg muscles specifically need. If you find fatty fish challenging to eat regularly, a high-quality fish oil supplement providing at least 2 grams of combined EPA and DHA daily is a reasonable alternative for the omega-3 component. Food number 3 is one that I am genuinely excited to tell you about because it is both extraordinarily powerful for leg muscle health and almost completely unrecognized for this purpose. I am talking about beets, specifically whole beets and beet juice. Beets contain a compound called dietary nitrate that the body converts into nitric oxide, a molecule that has profound effects on blood vessel function, blood flow, and muscle performance. Nitric oxide causes blood vessels to dilate, widening them and increasing blood flow to working muscles. In the legs, this means that the muscles receive more oxygen, more glucose, and more of the nutrient building blocks they need for both performance and recovery. Multiple clinical trials have shown that dietary nitrate from beet juice improves muscle efficiency. The muscles produce the same amount of force with less oxygen consumption, and improves physical performance in older adults specifically. A study published in the journal Physiological Reports found that older adults who consumed beet juice before exercise showed significantly greater muscle power output in the legs compared to placebo. Beyond the nitrate content, beets provide betalains, the pigments that give beets their characteristic deep red color, which are powerful antioxidants that reduce oxidative stress in muscle tissue and support recovery after exercise. They also provide folate and potassium, which support overall vascular health and electrolyte balance. The practical recommendation is half a cup to 1 cup of cooked beets 3 to 4 times per week, or 4 to 8 ounces of fresh beet juice before physical activity for a more immediate performance and blood flow benefit. Food number 4 is Greek yogurt. And the specific reason Greek yogurt stands out among dairy products for leg muscle support comes down to its unique combination of two protein types that work synergistically. Greek yogurt contains both whey protein and casein protein. Whey protein is rapidly absorbed and triggers a fast, strong spike in muscle protein synthesis, making it ideal consumed around exercise or first thing in the morning when the muscle building window needs to be opened quickly. Casein protein is slowly digested and absorbed. It releases amino acids into the bloodstream gradually over several hours, providing a sustained anabolic signal that maintains muscle protein synthesis between meals, and particularly overnight during sleep, when much of the muscle repair and rebuilding process occurs. This combination of fast and slow protein in a single food makes Greek yogurt uniquely effective for supporting muscle maintenance compared to protein sources that provide only one type. Greek yogurt is also a rich source of calcium, which beyond its bone benefits plays a direct role in the calcium signaling that triggers muscle contractions, and contains live bacterial cultures that improve gut health and reduce systemic inflammation in ways that support the anabolic environment needed for muscle maintenance. The practical recommendation is 1 cup of plain low-fat or full-fat Greek yogurt daily, not the flavored varieties which typically contain large amounts of added sugar that undermines the metabolic benefits. Add your own fresh or frozen berries and a small drizzle of honey if you prefer sweetness, which allows you to control the sugar content. Food number 5 is something that has been eaten across Mediterranean and Asian cultures for thousands of years, and that modern nutritional science is validating as one of the most comprehensively beneficial foods for aging biology. I am talking about edamame and other forms of soy, specifically edamame, tofu, and tempeh. The case for soy as a leg-strengthening food for older adults rests on several pillars. First, soy is the only plant food that provides a complete protein with a leucine content high enough to meaningfully trigger muscle protein synthesis. For older adults who are reducing their meat consumption or who are following a predominantly plant-based diet, soy is the most reliable plant-based alternative to animal protein for supporting muscle maintenance. Second, soy contains isoflavones, phytoestrogens that bind to estrogen receptors throughout the body. In postmenopausal women, the dramatic decline in estrogen that occurs at menopause is one of the factors that accelerates muscle loss, because estrogen has anabolic effects on muscle tissue. Soy isoflavones partially compensate for this estrogen decline, and several studies in postmenopausal women have shown that soy isoflavone supplementation preserves muscle mass and strength compared to placebo. Third, soy contains a compound called beta-sitosterol that has anti-inflammatory properties relevant to muscle health, and soy provides magnesium, a mineral that is critical for energy production in muscle cells and that is commonly deficient in older adults. The practical recommendation is half a cup of edamame, 4 ounces of tofu, or half a cup of tempeh 3 to 4 times per week as part of a varied protein-rich diet. Food number 6 is one that most Americans are dramatically underconsuming and whose specific benefits for leg muscle health represent one of the most interesting areas of current nutritional research. I am talking about dark leafy greens, specifically spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and collard greens. The connection between dark leafy greens and leg muscle strength comes from three specific nutrient pathways. The first is dietary nitrate, the same pathway we discussed with beets. Dark leafy greens are actually the richest dietary source of nitrates in the human diet, richer even than beets by weight. Spinach and arugula contain extraordinary amounts of dietary nitrate that support nitric oxide production, blood flow to the legs, and muscle efficiency in the same way beet nitrates do. The second pathway is magnesium. Dark leafy greens are among the richest dietary sources of magnesium, a mineral that is essential for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including the energy production reactions that power muscle contractions. Magnesium deficiency impairs muscle function, increases the risk of muscle cramps and spasms, reduces exercise performance, and is associated with accelerated muscle loss in older adults. The third pathway is vitamin K, specifically vitamin K2 in fermented greens and vitamin K1 in fresh greens, which beyond its bone protective effects has emerging evidence for supporting muscle quality and reducing the fat infiltration of muscle tissue that occurs with aging. A study published in the journal Nutrients found that higher dietary vitamin K intake was associated with greater knee extensor muscle strength in older adults, a direct measure of the quadriceps strength that determines the ability to rise from a chair, climb stairs, and prevent falls. The practical recommendation is 2 to 3 cups of dark leafy greens daily, incorporated into salads, smoothies, soups, or as a side dish cooked with olive oil and garlic. So here are your 6 leg strengthening foods together. Eggs, complete high leucine protein and vitamin D for muscle synthesis and neuromuscular function. Fatty fish, omega-3 anti-inflammatory support and vitamin D for muscle fiber maintenance. Beets, dietary nitrate for blood flow, muscle efficiency, and power output. Greek yogurt, the whey and casein protein combination for both immediate and sustained muscle protein synthesis. Edamame and soy, complete plant protein with isoflavones, particularly beneficial for postmenopausal women. And dark leafy greens, dietary nitrate, magnesium, and vitamin K for muscle contraction, energy production, and muscle quality. I want to be clear that food alone, without physical challenge, will not fully stop or reverse sarcopenia. The nutritional support I have described today works most powerfully in combination with resistance exercise that directly loads the leg muscles. Even modest resistance training, sitting in a chair and doing slow, controlled stand-to-sit movements, doing wall squats, doing calf raises while holding a stable surface, provides the mechanical stimulus that tells the muscle fibers to maintain and grow. Nutrition provides the building blocks. Exercise provides the signal. You need both. But for many older adults who are not yet ready or able to begin a formal resistance training program, improving the nutritional foundation for leg muscle health is the first and most accessible step, and it is a meaningful one. I think about my patient Raymond, 73 years old, retired teacher, who came to me concerned about his increasing difficulty getting up from his favorite armchair. We talked about nutrition, and he made specific changes incorporating most of the 6 foods I described today into his regular diet. 8 months later, he told me, "Dr. Black, I get out of that chair the first try every time now. I did not realize how much of a difference food could make." That is what food-based support for leg strength can produce in real patients with real lives. I am Dr. Sienna Black. Please share this video with someone you love who is concerned about their leg strength after 60. Hit the like button, subscribe to Healthy After 60, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of your legs, they carry everything. Before I close today, I want to spend time on something that I think is genuinely important for anyone over 60 who is concerned about their leg strength. And that is the question of how to know whether your legs are strong enough and how to track whether the changes you make in your nutrition and activity are actually producing results. Because one of the most frustrating things about working on muscle strength is that it changes slowly, and the changes are often hard to perceive from the inside. You may be making real progress, and not feeling it in a way that is obvious day to day. So I want to give you 3 simple functional tests that you can do at home today. Tests that are actually used by geriatricians and physical therapists to assess leg strength and fall risk in older adults. That will give you a baseline and allow you to track your progress over time. The first test is the chair stand test. Find a standard height chair without armrests or sit toward the front of a chair with arms crossed over your chest. Start from a seated position and stand up fully, then sit back down. Count how many times you can complete this stand-sit cycle in 30 seconds. For adults aged 60 to 69, a score below 12 for women or 13 for men suggests below average leg strength. For adults 70 to 79, a score below 11 for women or 12 for men is below average. If you are not reaching these numbers, your leg strength deserves specific attention, and the nutritional and exercise strategies I have described today should become a priority. The second test is the single leg stand test. Stand near a wall or stable surface for safety. Lift one foot off the ground and try to balance on the other leg with your eyes open. Note how many seconds you can maintain balance. Adults under 60 should be able to balance for more than 40 seconds. Adults between 60 and 70 for at least 20 seconds. Adults over 70 for at least 10 seconds. If you cannot maintain single leg balance for these durations, your leg stabilizer muscles, particularly the gluteus medius and the ankle stabilizers, are significantly weak and your fall risk is elevated. The third test is the timed up and go test. Sit in a chair. When you are ready to start, stand up, walk 10 feet forward, turn around, walk back to the chair, and sit down. Time yourself from the moment you begin to stand to the moment you are fully seated again. A time of 12 seconds or more suggests mobility impairment and elevated fall risk. A time of 20 seconds or more indicates significant functional limitation. Test yourself today. Write down your scores. Retest in 3 months after incorporating the 6 foods and adding leg strengthening exercises to your routine. The numbers will tell you a story that daily perception cannot. I also want to address the specific protein quantity question, because while I have described the best protein foods for leg muscle support, I have not given you specific guidance on how much protein to eat overall, and this matters enormously. The standard protein recommendation of 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight per day was established for young adults and is now widely recognized by geriatric nutrition experts as inadequate for adults over 60 who are dealing with the challenges of sarcopenia. Current evidence strongly supports a protein intake of 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight per day for older adults trying to maintain or rebuild muscle mass. To put this in practical terms, a person weighing 150 pounds needs approximately 82 to 109 grams of protein per day. A person weighing 180 pounds needs approximately 98 to 130 grams. And this protein needs to be distributed across meals rather than concentrated in one meal, because muscle protein synthesis has a ceiling effect per meal. Consuming 30 to 40 grams of protein 3 times per day produces significantly greater muscle protein synthesis than consuming the same total amount in one large meal. Each of the 6 foods I described today contributes meaningfully to this protein target. 2 eggs provide 12 grams of complete protein. A 4-ounce serving of salmon provides 25 grams. 1 cup of Greek yogurt provides 17 to 20 grams. Half a cup of edamame provides 9 grams. This means that incorporating these foods across your 3 daily meals can bring you realistically close to the protein targets that support meaningful muscle maintenance after 60. If you find it difficult to consistently reach adequate protein through food alone, particularly on days when appetite is reduced or meal planning is challenging, a high-quality whey protein supplement or a plant-based protein powder can be a practical and evidence-supported addition. Look for supplements that provide at least 25 grams of protein per serving with a complete amino acid profile and minimal added sugars. There is one more nutrient I want to mention before I close: one that is not a food exactly, but that is so critical for leg muscle health in older adults that I would be remiss not to address it. And that is creatine. Creatine is a naturally occurring compound found in small amounts in red meat and fish and produced in small amounts by the body itself. It is stored in muscle tissue and serves as a rapidly available energy source for short, powerful muscle contractions. It is the most extensively studied sports supplement in human history, with thousands of clinical trials over decades, and its safety and efficacy for muscle strength and power are beyond scientific dispute. What is less well known is that creatine supplementation has been specifically studied in older adults, and the results are genuinely impressive. A meta-analysis of trials in older adults found that creatine supplementation combined with resistance training produced significantly greater gains in lean muscle mass, muscle strength, and functional performance than resistance training alone. In adults who are not performing resistance training, creatine still shows modest benefits for muscle maintenance. The recommended dose for older adults is 3 to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate per day, a very small amount that can be stirred into water, juice, or a protein shake. It is tasteless, inexpensive, and has an excellent long-term safety profile even in older adults with normal kidney function. If you have existing kidney disease, please discuss creatine with your doctor before starting. But for adults with normal kidney function, it is one of the most evidence-supported nutritional supplements available for leg muscle health. I am Dr. Sienna Black. Thank you for watching Healthy After 60. Please share this video with someone who is concerned about their leg strength. Subscribe for new videos every week, and I will see you in the next one. Take care of your legs. They are the foundation of everything. One final thought I want to leave you with today, and it is something I feel very strongly about as a physician who has watched older adults navigate the gradual loss of physical independence that so often accompanies aging in America. We have built a culture that largely accepts muscle weakness and physical decline in older adults as inevitable. We design our environments for younger, stronger bodies, and then we provide wheelchairs and walkers and stair lifts as compensations when the older body can no longer manage. And I understand why. Because for generations we did not have the tools to meaningfully push back against sarcopenia. But we have those tools now. We know that resistance exercise preserves and rebuilds muscle at any age. We know which foods provide the specific nutritional support that aging muscle needs. We know which nutrients are most commonly deficient in older adults and most impactful for muscle function. We know how to measure leg strength and track improvement. The tools exist. What is missing is the knowledge and the belief that it is worth the effort. So I want to leave you with this. The strength of your legs is not a fixed destiny. It is not simply a function of your age or your genetics. It is significantly influenced by what you eat and how you move, and both of those things are within your control today. Raymond got out of his armchair the first try at 73 because he changed what he ate. You can do the same. Start with the 6 foods. Start with the chair stand test. Start with one small resistance exercise after watching this video. Start today, because your legs are not just muscles. They are your independence, your mobility, your ability to walk to the mailbox and climb your own stairs and dance at your grandchild's wedding. They deserve your attention. They deserve your nutrition. They deserve your commitment. I am Dr. Sienna Black. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next video.